All right. Hello, everybody. It's now Sunday, 15:59 Texas time. Let me adjust my volume a little bit. It's a little bit loud. Okay, so let's see. I am Thad Getterman with Broken Sidewalk Farm. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here today with the Agorist conference that's going on. And so where we're going with this is about a year ago I had started this project called Broken Sidewalk Farm, and the goal is to grow as much organic food as possible and give it away for free. Now that's a very altruistic and very noble goal, but in order to pull it off, especially for the amount of work that it takes to put food together, that's where I then start to factor in other things like Arduino microcontrollers, for example. So we're talking about physical computing, and we're talking about using computer vision as well as machine learning. So it's a couple of sectors that are pretty familiar to those that are into robotics or artificial intelligence. And so I guess about a year ago, went and picked up 56 acres here in Texas to try and start putting this project together. And it's broken out into 3 milestones: Milestone 1, Milestone 2, and Milestone 3. Milestone 1 is the physical construction of the farm. Milestone 2, on the other hand, is the technological side of the farm. Like I said, like using microcontrollers and computer vision and machine learning and things like that. So where we're at is Milestone 1 is on hold indefinitely. Milestone 2 is the one that I'm working on right now, and I've posted up several several videos on YouTube where I'm sitting there doing physical computing as well as some computer vision stuff, and basically just kind of posting up updates as I make progress. And my big focus right now is to, I'm starting off with daisies. So I'm right now teaching my computer what daisies look like using the OpenCV library that Intel had released in 1999. Or I'm sorry, released in 2005, started on in 1999. And so it consists for the way that I'm having, for the specific technique that I'm using for it, it's where you show positive and negative sets of images of whatever it is you're trying to teach the machine. So with me trying to teach daisies, then ideally I would get 5,000 images of daisies is what I'm working towards and showing it that. And then negative sets are pictures that don't contain daisies. So it can be, unicorns, bluebonnets, people, puppies, basically anything that's not a daisy. And so it's just like the Bayesian filtering that's in most email programs for filtering out spam. And so that's been kind of the focus right now. I brought a couple of books to show what the foundation of Milestone 2 is. Let's see. So what kind of kickstarted Milestone 2 was when I was in the bookstore and I noticed that there was an article on how to build a washing machine that didn't run on the grid. And so I picked that up, and that was in Make magazine volume number 18. And so hold it up, let me see if I got it. In fact, let me switch over. There we go. And so anyways, on page 90 of this specific magazine, there was an article that was written by Luke Eisman, and he had showed how to do what he called geeked out gardening. And so it's where you take a microcontroller. Yeah, there we go. Take a microcontroller, and you sit there and connect sensors to it. And so you're able to sit there and monitor the temperature, and even monitor the water composition in the soil using this microcontroller. And so after I read that, that's really kind of what prompted me to do Milestone 2 as well, to try and fulfill what it is that BSF is trying to accomplish, and that is to try and apply the BitTorrent protocol to the food supply. Since the food supply is pretty endangered, and then in economic crashes, the food goes away pretty much all the time anyways. So that was the Make magazine that had kickstarted Milestone 2. And then kind of along the way, got into other things. I was familiar with square foot gardens, and so it was something that the gentleman that created it, Mel Bartholomew, he is actually a civil engineer, and square foot gardening is such a productive means of knocking out such an incredible amount of food in such a small space. You've got I think it's 900% more food that can come out of a square foot garden than actually row planting. And so that's a 4 foot by 4 foot space. So for even wanting to sit there and do sensors to help manage gardening, then that's much more easy to manage 4 feet by 4 feet instead of even trying to use microcontrollers for doing a field. So that was kind of where it was starting to head. Was I would really like to put together a lot of these square foot gardens in a greenhouse that's managed by microcontrollers. And then it started turning into other things like computer vision. And this is a O'Reilly book, and it's Learning OpenCV, Computer Vision with the OpenCV library. And so that's what I'm doing right now, sitting there writing computer vision program in C++. And although OpenCV does have other bindings as Python and Java, for example, but for the amount that I'm wanting to throw at it, I need it to run as fast as possible, which is why I'm using C++. So, anyways, then there's, like I said, there's other things. There's another O'Reilly book, Making Things Talk, and this book right here gets into, relays, transistors, diodes, all those kinds of things, what it takes to actually make a microcontroller be able to control other things. And so it's something that from there, basically the goal with Broken Sidewalk Farm in Milestone 1 is to put together a self-contained farm. So the land is there. It's in Bertram, Texas. It's 56 acres, and it's an incredible amount of work that requires a lot of motivated and skilled people or even at base level, just for labor. So then it's down to motivated people. But Milestone 1 is about creating a permaculture biosphere. Milestone 2 is about using a microcontroller and machine learning to actually regulate those microcontrollers. So in a way, you could think of the microcontroller as perhaps the muscles. The sensors could perhaps be the finger pads, the tips of your fingers. And then when it's actually making interactions with the environment, perhaps sitting there making nutrient blends for gardens on its own, then that's something that of course can be done as well with a relay on the board that's then activating servos or pumps or whatever it is that you want it to control. So let's see, I guess that's kind of the synopsis right now for where it's at. By building it self-contained, then it really doesn't matter what's decided at Copenhagen. It doesn't matter all these crazy laws, because really what matters is as long as you're on the side of the fence for the self-contained farm. And this is, as this one great essay called entitled Evolve to Freedom by the Open Source Ecology Project lists, says, yeah, this is dreamy but doable, and they certainly are much further along. So then it almost becomes kind of a Ayn Rand Atlas Shrugged approach, really, where instead of I'm one who I don't believe in politics anymore. I think it's a waste of time, and I think that the very realistic fact that Ron Paul lost in 2008 really only highlights that your general American populace aren't intelligent enough to even pick the obvious choice. And so for me, the focus is then really to use a parallel system to what's in place, same way that I switched over to Linux instead of Windows several years back. And I think that that's what we're seeing with even Wired magazine. I picked this up the other night, where they're getting into the do-it-yourself revolution starts now. And it's something that how to make stuff, 25 awesome projects. And they sit there and they cover what it is that Broken Sidewalk Farm has been trying to pull off for a year now. And then even, it's funny, after I had started with the Arduino, then this came out in Make Magazine 25. So this is the Arduino revolution, and it's make stuff smart. And so that right now is really the focus, is just sitting there taking it from a technological approach, since milestone 1, as I said, is on hold indefinitely. And that's the trick, is can I get this computer to see these plants? And then after reading a research paper from China, where they used computer vision on observing vegetation growth, they found out that you're able to actually determine and even predict the nitrogen and the chlorophyll levels of the plants. So this is a fairly big deal, since then you could get into other things like using human manure composting, for example, kind of change it up a little, right? Sit there and start separating and saving urine in a separate bucket, and you're able to let a microcontroller, you have a computer with computer vision monitoring the plants, and when they start falling below a certain range in nitrogen, then sit there and have the microcontroller actually elevate it back up, while in the same process you're also treating sewage. And so those are the kinds of things, is you're really focusing on a symbiosis, where you're trying to sit there and move things back and forth to keep it self-contained. And as I said, that's really the big focus, is just building a self-contained farm that's capable of producing. So we're not only talking about just food, we're also talking about other things, like actually building microcontrollers on site, building tractors on site, building, even with OSC's new project, the open source micro factory, you're talking about actually being able to build and fabricate robotics and cars on site. And so that's where we're at. And I think what I've noticed over the past year from doing this project and really quitting my job and just going full scale, trying to sit there and pull this off, has been that there's a lot of still, as Charlie Veitch calls this, U-type, not YouTube. And that's exactly why I killed my Facebook account, just because for 10 years I've gotten the fire hydrant of documentaries, whether it be Aaron Russo or Alex Jones or somebody like that. So there's a lot of really scary information out there for what a lot of really demonic ruling elite want to do. But I think that the focus is really then on just how do you build a parallel, considering that they're playing the zero-sum game that Microsoft played in the 90s. And then we saw things like Linux and just the open source movement overall thrive, even though Richard Stallman had been doing the Free Software Foundation for a long time. Yet I never really had heard of him until Linux and open source, until Microsoft just kind of started spinning out of control, just whether it was the different DRM concepts, digital rights management concepts, or TCPA, Trusted Computing Platform Alliance. And so I guess the synopsis is that this game is exactly the same when dealing with this whole New World Order concept. We could just go ahead and refer to the New World Order as Windows, and we could refer to the Illuminati as Microsoft, and it's pretty much the same thing. So I think then the focus needs to be, in that case, how do we be the equivalent in real life of the open source movement, and more importantly, how do we then turn around and kick something beautiful out that works well, like a real life version of Linux. So if you've got Linux and different flavors of Linux running as operating systems on a computer, then I think the same needs to be asked for actual agricultural development. So let's see, I'm going to jump over onto the conference window, see if anybody has written, and let's see. Okay, let me scroll down and start reading now that I've given the spiel. Okay. Justin had said, I mean Operation Iraqi Liberty, come on, you can't tell me they didn't know what they were doing there. Until they're asked by their favorite TV channel, how can the answer possibly be known? Very well said, Kevin. Joseph, Apple is pretty controlling too. And then something completely unrelated to agriculture. So I think actually that kind of highlights the point, is there's a couple messages already that aren't even related to creating solutions. It's just about creating jokes on Facebook. And I think that kind of highlights why a lot of the movement is spinning its wheels in the mud. If you have to poke it with a stick, then I don't think it could be called a movement. And so it's something that's been one of the pleasures of Milestone 2, is even, it's been kind of funny because I've been using, doing development on an Android, and getting assistance from a friend in India. So it's been kind of humorous that even the resistance has had to be outsourced. Let's see. So, like in Little Brother, Avant. What does that mean? Let me click on this link. Someday use solar energy to turn water into hydrogen. Oh, okay. Check out. I guess the thing is Avant. Open source ecology is sitting there actually taking care of the power situation. If you go to openfarmtech.org, you can see that they're actually focused on steam engines, and so it's something that that's been kind of a problem I faced as well, because I think that really the reason that most of us, myself included, I mean myself past tense I guess for right now, but went to work was really for three things. You're going to work to sit there and buy water and food and energy, and I think that it's something that the power open source ecology is taking care of that. They seem to have that kind of under control. They're certainly energy independent on their farm. The water aspect, of course, and the food aspect are a combination of like rainwater collection and other techniques there on the farm that are detailed in the milestone sheet. So I hope that answers your question about the power. I don't really get caught up on the hydrogen stuff just because it takes a lot of energy to split water into hydrogen. Yes, it can be done, but the amount that you're having to sit there and throw into it, and then, of course, there's other things like catalysts, for example. But it's something that that's been one thing I've really liked about OSE, is that they so far have built 40 plus machines and implements, and that's been their focus right now. Is even they're already self-contained, but a lot of their self-contained power has been from solar, and they have 1.4 kilowatts at their disposal. I've been using a Honda EU 1000 generator, sitting there running at up to a kilowatt of power on dynamic throttle. But it's something that as OSC makes their progress on the steam engine, then and if I can find the motivated mechanics and the motivated welders to match to my skill set of technology and software development, then I think we can, definitely start making some more progress, which is why Milestone 1 is on hold. Is I just haven't been able to find the skill set required to get it off the ground. Let me see if I can scroll down a little. Joseph asks, how soon can we make a robotic greenhouse for profit? I think that's a great question because it's something that, let's see, making power out of wastewater. Okay, that's Avant's next question. Okay, so Joseph asks that. I think that's a great question. My focus right now has really been taking it from a software angle. And then I'm going to have to find somebody who's good with mechanical engineering. And then as I'm still learning physical computing, I'm going to have questions along the way. But I don't know that I'm going to be able to put any kind of ETA on knocking out the software development, considering that computer vision is new to me. So just even dealing with a machine that's actually able to learn and dealing with a machine that's able to actually see, those are fairly new concepts for me to begin with. That's certainly the goal, though, is to take it in that direction. Let's see, making power out of wastewater. Avant, if you check out arti-india.org, arti-india.org, they actually sit there and create fuel out of, they have the ARTI reactor, which shows how to harvest methane off of their kitchen scraps. Let's see. Okay, so Linux in Little Brother, the book. Oh, I'll have to look at that. I'll have to check that book out. Little Brother is Corey, Dr. O book, steampunk. Oh, okay. So Avant says that they're a steampunk. They can get behind that. Avant, send me an email. I'm not on Facebook, so you can hit me up on Twitter, or it's Broken Sidewalk Farm without the vowels, or you can send an email to thefledglingfarmer@brokensidewalkfarm.com. And I'd definitely be interested in learning more from you. There's a book that I've been trying to thumb through, Steam Engine Theory, Steam Engine Turbine Theory and Design, that I've been trying to thumb through, although right now, since the hardest part of Milestone 2 is the computer vision, then that's where I've been spending most of my time, is dealing with that. Okay, let's see. So, extension of Windows, Linux, Dynamic to NWO, Free Humanity, clever. Thank you, John. That actually is what it is, though. If you actually just look at the way that they're doing things, it's identical. I don't know that I can see a difference. I mean, look at the way that even Microsoft, some of the crazy licensing techniques that they use, and then you look at the way that where this is heading with the food scarcity and the water scarcity, and really just a scarcity world, which is why BSF and OSC and all these other kinds of projects are focused on creating solutions for a post-scarcity world. But it's something that let's see, it's something that where you've got boy, I completely lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry. Got distracted by what I was looking at. It's something that if you look at the way that they want to license the food and license the water with the Terminator seeds and Iraqi provisional document number 81 and S510 and HR 875 and all these different kinds of things that they huff and puff about. I think it's the same kind of concepts, right? It's that Microsoft carries for their technology and stuff, except this just carries straight through to food and to water. Let's see, how do you overcome autistic husbandry challenges? I don't know that I understand that question, Michael. With digesters you get compost and methane. So what kind of stuff do you need for your... okay, let's see. Let me see if I can answer Bob's question. I'm assuming you're talking about Artie's digester. Yeah, the compost that's coming out on that side is great, and to do that, that's 2 HDPE bins, 1,000 liter, 750 liters is what they use over there. And the video alone is on their website for $10 and is fairly well put together. It's about, I think it's an hour and a half if I remember right, but I've actually been having somewhat of a difficult time locating the HDPE that I'm looking for pulling this off. And then to make bad matters worse, my truck is broken down, so I'm unable to even move it. And so that's another thing that it's either I'm going to have to find a mechanic, or once I finish milestone 2, then focus on now learning mechanics and trying to take apart a truck and do it. Let's see. So Justin asks, so what kind of... Wait a minute. Justin asks, so what kind of stuff do you need for your computer vision archives? Want my photos from my square foot gardens? Yes, Justin, absolutely. That would be great. I'll get with you. Actually, there's a Flickr set that I put up. If y'all go to, let me see if I have Flickr linked on the website yet. The website is brokensidewalkfarm.com. Once again, brokensidewalkfarm.com. No, I don't have Flickr linked yet. Let's see. So you will have to go to flickr.com/photos/brokensidewalkfarm. And Justin, that'll be kind of an example of the first training set that I took of daisies. I've been working on the C++ backend and making some command line programs, and then I'm going to wrap a web GUI around the front, and that web GUI is done in Cake PHP. And it's something that I'm going to wrap it around the front so that then we can crowdsource the training out to the general public, and so where people can take photos and send photos in. And the way it works, I think my focus right now for detection of plants, detection of plant pests, and then plant problems as well, like powdery mildew, for example, different diseases. I think my focus is going to really revolve around trying to put those online as well, where people can upload those. And then the techniques I'm using are HAR, HAAR, then SIFT, then the hidden Markov model. And so it's something that for the HAR lookalike classifier, that's like I said, you take these photos and then you draw bounding boxes around those photos, and that's for positive sets. So yeah, to answer your question, Justin, that'll be great. We'll need to get that. I need to get that thrown together on the website, so then you can sit there and start dumping those photos on it. Let's see. So Steven asks, who is this? Also, what is this? This is Broken Sidewalk Farm, open source, crowdsourced, permaculture-based farm. Let's see. Okay, cool. Justin has summed it up. This is Thad from BSF. You kind of missed the intro. Roughly, it's a project to create a sustainable, self-sufficient farm using appropriate application of technology. And then, okay, Avant Garland. There's the Twitter. Okay, cool. The email Avant is thefledglingfarmer@brokensidewalkfarm.com. Once again, it's thefledglingfarmer@brokensidewalkfarm.com. Let's see. I didn't think I had time. Looks like I should have. Oh, okay, Steven. Cool. Welcome to the conference. Let's see. In the archives. Okay. Okay, cool. Avant found the Twitter link. Good call, Avant. Thank you. Yeah, and it's if you go to brokensidewalkfarm.com, our Twitter link is on there under social media. Okay, let's see. So Kevin asks, Thad, does your software consider rotating crops to balance NPK levels or grow compatible food crops for maximum organic yields? We're not at that point yet, unfortunately. That's something that needs to definitely be considered, Kevin. And if that's something that you're into, certainly, or even, more specifically, if that's something that you want to get into, right? Because to even do computer vision, it's not that I have some sort of experience. It's that I went and bought this book and started reading it. So it's kind of a thick book. Started reading it on how to do it. So, Kevin, if you would like to join on that aspect of Milestone 2, I would certainly be honored. You're, of course, welcome to hit me up on email as well, the fledgling farmer at brokensidewalkfarm.com. Once again, the fledgling farmer at brokensidewalkfarm.com. I guess with Kevin's question, that kind of segues into, this is the Android development phone right here that I've been developing on. Initially, I had started on the iPhone and really got frustrated with the way that things were set up for developers. I really didn't dig $99 to sit there and just dump a testing application on my own iPhone. So I switched over to Android, and now I'm writing it in Java instead. But it's something that, Kevin, it's such a monumental project. Since I'm just on the computer vision side of things, then I think that there's a lot of room, certainly for expansion to begin with. So if you're not in the Austin area and you want to work on this remotely, I don't see any reason why you wouldn't be able to. So, of course, hit me up. I think at a base level, for just kind of thinking out loud on the rotation of crops and grow compatible food crops, probably one of the better ways that we'll have to end up taking this as storing it as some sort of matrices, and then giving those matrices values, and then figuring out, I haven't done matrices in years, but that's how the computer vision stuff is done, with each pixel being broken down into different levels on a matrix. And so it sounds basically the same thing. If we're going to be talking about putting a bunch of crops together and then trying to figure out how to best automate the rotation or even the layout, and using the Android application that I'm writing to do so, then that's just kind of me thinking of things off the top of my head. But you don't have to be a programmer for that, right? That's more of a farmer type thing, or somebody who's really into bio-intensive farming. So that's where we need to figure out if that's your world, or if that's a world that you want to pick up and learn. Then how do we connect the two? How do we connect that world into this world that I'm trying to create of augmenting reality with technology, much the same way that a GPS has completely changed up the travel experience for a car. Taryn asks, what is the best greenhouse you have found? Taryn, my focus has been for greenhouses to do a cob greenhouse chicken coop combo. That's been where I've been wanting to take it for my own greenhouse design. I really thought it was attractive that you're able to use the body heat of chickens to try and temper the temperature of the building during the winter, and then opening windows during the summer to cool it. And so that got me kind of excited. Let me have a sip from my drink real quick. I'm getting a little cotton-mouthed. All right, so it's something that, let's see, that's been, my focus has been, my desire has been to do a cob greenhouse, just because then you're also focusing on insulation using hay. And it's something that insulation, especially coming out of the winter out there at BSF, that's actually what drove me into finally putting Milestone 1 on hold, was when I was sitting there trying to write software in 17-degree weather. That's when I was like, all right, that's it. Milestone 1 is going on hold. Retreating to the city for Milestone 2. And when I can find the amount of people that are needed, right now it's been Jeff and Gilbert for actually showing up to physically do it. And then Zach and Katie have been pretty involved as well. Like Zach has given me those onions, for example, that were growing out there. That came from Zach. Let's see. So yeah, Joseph, yeah, definitely familiar with Git. Need to crash course through that when I've actually got enough of an amount of code written to actually post it online instead of it doing just nifty tricks like face detection with the hard classifier. Then I'll definitely be using Git to upload it. I created an account on Glittorious for sitting there putting it online. I was going to use GitHub, but I really didn't dig that you had to pay for some of the features that appeared to be free on Gettorious. So let's see. Justin then says, yes, permaculture design assist software is a big deal. We absolutely need to create a good data store and a good way to navigate it. Yeah, Justin, and that's certainly what I'm working towards. This can be broken out into about 4 aspects right now for Milestone 2, what I'm working on. And I, of course, encourage you all to look at the milestone sheet at brokensidewalkfarm.com under the PDF tab. So yeah, the thing is I'm taking it in respect to computer vision for number 1 being the hardest. Number 2, I'm going to sit there and do the Android, and then eventually the iPhone, but iPhone is taking a back seat for right now. Number 3 will then be the Cake PHP based site. It's already up there. The website that's running right now is already Cake PHP based, and so it's something that it'll just be adding on to that. It's a full MVC framework. It's actually a blast to work with Cake PHP, and it's really eerily similar to writing for Android. So that's where Cake PHP stands. And then finally, number 4 is using the Arduino microcontroller for physical computing. There's some other microcontrollers that I need to check out as well, like the TI Launchpad that a guy in Round Rock has been doing. But yeah, Justin, let's get together. I'll call you when this conference finishes, and let's start figuring out how to get those photos from you to me. In fact, you can, if you want to email the photos, you can actually already email the photos to Broken Sidewalk Farm server, redqueen@brokensidewalkfarm.com. Once again, redqueen@brokensidewalkfarm.com. And just make sure and put the name of the photo. That's a fairly inefficient way to do it, though. So, but I'm wanting to look at Flickr and probably just end up making the website just handle it itself, where users can upload photos through the website and then tag it and just kind of do it all in one instead of trying to bounce around. But yeah, Justin, we'll get to it. I'll call you after I finish this conference in a couple of minutes. Let's see, Taryn, cool, never heard of that. Anyone got a link for that? Taryn, what's your question? What is that? The link for what? Let's see if anybody has written on Twitter. Nope, no Twitter. Okay, so I don't see any more messages coming in, and let's say I had this for, I guess, about 40 minutes, and we're coming up on about 2 minutes left for this conference. So if anybody else had any other kinds of questions, then we could get that. Let's see, he meant the greenhouse co-op. Oh, okay. Let's see, Taryn, I can send you a link. Like I said, I canceled Facebook, so I don't have Facebook. Or if you're on Twitter, and you'll hit me up on Twitter, it's Broken Sidewalk Farm without the vowels. Or you can just do you can sit there and do brokensidewalkfarm.com and go to the tab for the social media. So once again, brokensidewalkfarm.com, and then social media and Twitter. Let's see. So yeah. Let's see what else. George advises I have 18 more minutes if I want them. Oh, okay. Nice. Thank you, George. I might. Definitely am running out of things to discuss and talk about. Let's see. I think that really is the focus, though, and I'm going to be putting out a video. I was hoping to already have the video out before I did this conference today. I'll try and put the video on tonight, including a couple of shots from when we had our public presentation, but from a couple of weeks ago at Brave New Books. But it's something that really I can't seem to stress the importance of direct action, and that we've definitely got to get past the theorizing part of things, which drives me insane. And like I said, for me alone, from personal experience, I've had 10 solid years of Aaron Russo films, Alex Jones films, those kinds of films, where it's they're doing this, they're doing this, they're doing this, and then kind of the more scary ones like In-Game, which definitely is part of a reason why I set up this farm. But kind of the more scary ones are like In-Game are they're gonna get you, they're gonna get you, they're gonna get you. And I think that's where then my focus is. Well, okay, how do we create an alternative? Let's see. Oh, nice. Stephanie brings up about open source insulin. Yeah, okay. So open source insulin. One of my best friends is diabetic. And then my old chemistry tutor is diabetic. And so it was something that I had told my old chemistry tutor my desire to sit there and see if there was a way to make open source insulin. And he was telling me that it's actually remarkably fairly cheap to produce, and you should be able to do it, a lot of it, with the farm. So that's been the focus on trying to bring together other people who are into science and technology, because that has been one thing I've noticed with a lot of the anarchist side of things, and with the even the libertarian and the Ron Pauler and that kind of side of things. A lot of people really have kind of been, I think, leaning towards taking it into more of like a 1803 type situation, and I'm wanting to take it forward where we can sit there and focus on insulin. So where to go with this? We have a blog entry about the open source insulin. Matt is an amazing biochemist, and so that's more up his alley. It's going to be about $9,000 to $10,000 worth of lab equipment in order to be able to synthesize the insulin there on site at the farm. But I can't move that equipment in to put together the chemistry lab, since there's no chemistry lab due to there being no barn. And there being no barn due to it just being, Jeff Gilbert and I mainly just trying to build this thing on the weekends with a dead truck and no welders and no mechanics and no actual skilled carpenters. I'm certainly not a carpenter, although I make these really pathetic and desperate attempts. Let's see. So I don't know if I covered that, Stephanie. I don't know if that covered enough of it. That would definitely be where it is if we get the barn put together and then finally have the lab where I can move in the lab equipment, then I get to call Matt up and ask him to come on down to Texas from Arizona and do a month or 2 month fellowship, scientific fellowship at BSF, to focus on putting together the actually synthesizing insulin on site. Let's see. So Kevin asks, what staffing challenges are you facing at BSF? Are there any volunteer positions open? Absolutely, Kevin. Let's see. So that's been a pretty big focus, has been getting people off of Facebook and getting them out of meetings and petitions and surveys and lectures and marches and speeches and parties and a lot of very masturbatory things, and actually getting them to actually show up, because that was something that for buying this land to do this project, that was me responding to from when I had done a farming project up north, and that place went Plymouth Colony in 2 months, and was the Freedom County project. Had come down here, people were saying that if there was land, they would show up to build the farm, so I went and bought the land, and then it's been difficult to actually get people to put in the amount of labor that it takes. So Yeah, it's an open source project. Certainly, if people want to review the milestone sheet and see if there's some way for them to fit in on this, then certainly they can. General labor is perhaps the big thing. Although at the top of the list right now is the lack of a working truck that has a blown head gasket in the engine. So that's kind of a big deal right now, because there's no way to actually even move the equipment out to even be able to do anything. So even if we had 100 people, if there's no truck to actually move the equipment, then there's no point in having those 100 people. But yeah, there are definitely volunteer positions open. I would like to get Milestone 1 started again, but in the same respect, I can't do it with a dead truck, and I can't do it with only 3 guys, myself being one of those 3 guys, on the weekend working on this. This thing needs to definitely, as the food prices continue to escalate and things get more scary, this is where we need to sit there and focus on trying to create a response well ahead of time before shit hits the fan. Let's see. Then we've got Stephanie. Yep, thanks. Just wanted to get the word out about the project. Lots of folks will be checking out the archive on this one, them to hear about it in case they have the expertise that could help. Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of angles to take this for people. There's definitely a lot of angles to take this for people to be able to get involved both locally and remote. With Milestone 2, the nice thing is I'm not tied to a location. So when I do have to go back to work, then it's something that I don't have to specifically stay in this location to go back to work to try and raise more money for Broken Sidewalk Farm again. I'm not quite sure that I understand Terrence's question about why would you want to do this, where he was asking Stephanie. Let's see. If folks want to support BSF, how can they do so? Labor advice, money, etc. That's what Stephanie just asks. I have tried not to take any kind of money, and I've tried to do it solely from just going to work and from doing jobs and the likes, because that's kind of been another thing. I think that if we're all sitting around in a circle passing around a jar asking each other for money, I don't know that that's really going to bring anything into the equation. So then there has to be other ways to perhaps balance things out. So labor, it has definitely been my focus. Advice would be good too, depending what kind of advice it is pertaining for specific things. That's certainly definitely one of the things that was listed in the original video where we were asking for assistance. So yeah, that would be great. If people, I ask that people look over this video of what BSF is about, kind of the highlight, by going to brokensidewalkfarm.com, and then at the top where it talks about reading a Wall Street Journal and Holodomor and the likes, there's more information. If you click on that link, then you can sit there and see the video that explains this. Let's see. So that would be labor and advice. Yeah, I mean, check us out. Check out the milestone sheet. Really, is it even kind of more specific, and then see if there's some way that y'all can fit in. So, for example, Stephanie is in biochemistry as well. So if I could get the barn built and get the lab equipment in, then it would certainly be my desire to have Stephanie and Matthew come from Arizona, Stephanie come from New Hampshire, down here, so that we can focus on creating this open source insulin, for example, as well as breaking down polymers, which is another thing that Matt wrote about as well. Since just really my back end is programming and technology, so that's kind of more my focus. Let's see. Joseph asks, or Taryn asks, I was talking about making insulin. I think, Taryn, it's kind of the same for like food, water, and energy. Why do we want to pay a lot of money to Eckerd's or Walgreens or CVS or Walmart when this is something that we should really just try and focus on bringing down to the local level? And I think that's kind of more of the focus from not only an economic perspective but also an environmental perspective. Let's see. Where can we find out about open source insulin? Joseph asks. Go to brokensidewalkfarm.com/blog. Once again, brokensidewalkfarm.com/blog. And the article on there is actually entitled Open Source Insulin. So it's brokensidewalkfarm.com/blog/open-source-insulin. Should bring up the blog entry. Let's see. Stephanie responds to Taryn and says, Taryn, in case of an economic collapse, insulin might not be readily available, and also IP, patents, etc. make it more expensive. Stephanie is absolutely right. I fully expect when the dollar crashes, and I am saying when, not if, but I expect really nothing, no good results at all, considering that we don't make our industry, we don't make our technology, we don't make our food, we don't make our medicine. So if you're relying on other people, specifically people in other countries, to bring all this to you, and we're talking about a post-scarcity world, then I think really my question is, how are you getting insulin if it's not being made perhaps at a distance in less than 50 miles? I think that's kind of my question is where does that insulin come from? Let's see. Okay, so Stephanie posted up the link. Thank you, Stephanie. Taryn says could be very profitable. Well, I suppose, but I mean, Taryn, this is, I guess, what I've faced a couple times where, this could be taken as a business model, perhaps, but I'm kind of looking at it more from an open source perspective, right? If you want to do it from a business model, then you have to sit there and deal with all this crazy licensing and all these things that then jack the costs up. And if we're talking about really medicine, I don't know that I really even like the concept of charging people money for medicine, or even charging people money for food if it's something that they need. So I tend to get kind of, I realize that one's work has to be paid for, but I think from like a Christian perspective for myself, if there's somebody who needs insulin, as a Christian, I don't know that I can sit there and look at it from a business model and be like, ha 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 ha, I'm gonna withhold the insulin and charge them money. Of course, I'm also realistic in respect to, I know you can't just flood streets with insulin, but there's got to be some sort of balance, and I think that the focus with open source is really, you're just talking about trying to put production in the hands of the people so that these things can be published produced in your backyard. Let's see. Joseph says, thanks, any biotech people friend, or email me. I'm working on OSS bioinformatics. Joseph, I definitely want to talk to you. Let's see. I really would like for you to email me, actually. Let's see. Avant says, a lot of this is so far over my head, but really so interesting. Thanks for putting this together. I'm more of a crafty than techie, but trying to learn what I can. Great presentation. Thank you, Thad. Well, Avant, thank you. I guess perhaps my question is, which part is over your head, so that I can try and figure out how to perhaps break it down in the 7 minutes or so that we have remaining. I definitely try and keep this down, because it's really not that complex when you start to just kind of nick away at it. Computer vision is something that the first couple of nights I was really just kind of like holding my head down like this, just trying to understand it. And now as time progresses and I continue reading and plugging away on it, and this is literally all I do, then it makes more and more and more sense. So if you have any specific questions, if I went over something that doesn't make sense, I'd certainly love to take a pausing point to try and perhaps respond. Joseph says, profit helps keep you in business and making it. Yes, but that's for this kind of existence, Joseph, for this sort of neo-mercantilistic system that I so desperately want to see burn and crash into the ground. Hence the name Broken Sidewalk Farm. I'm definitely I think I could probably classify myself as an anarcho-capitalist, but I think that for making money, I just don't like the idea of making money from holding something, in my hand sitting there. I mean, assuming that Matt and Stephanie, for example, perhaps came down and we actually got this synthesized. If we could get the workforce together to actually put the barn together, to put the chemistry lab together, to actually even get to that point, I just don't know that I like the concept of saying that people have to pay me money to stay alive. I think there's got to be some way that we can figure out how to put it in the hands of diabetics so that diabetics can create their own insulin in their own backyard. Let's see. I think the knowledge is great to pass around. I think folks will do it. I have no moral objection to trade insulin and means for what I need. Yeah, I could see that perhaps, Taryn. Let's see. I think that we're really kind of moving out of the focus on action, though, more into theory, and for me the big focus is just the direct action to get it done. So that's where I need to get people like Stephanie or people like Matt to Texas for a month or 2 month scientific fellowship. But I can't bring those people there if the barn isn't built, and no lab to have it in. Let's see. So Justin says, crafty is really important, Avant. You learn a lot of physical skills and craftiness that turns out to be productive in unexpected ways. Yes, that is completely true. I think there's that old quote, be as wise as serpents and as peaceful as doves. And I think that that's really the way that I'm certainly trying to take this. There was a Business Insider article that was written about the Yakuza flooding the streets with food and water on like the first night that the earthquake happened. And that's really the focus as well, as if we are going to have a conversation about freedom and liberty and eugenics and the economy and the Federal Reserve and all these different things, 9/11, I mean, whatever, then I think really for me just the focus is the alternative and just nothing but direct action to do the alternative, since there is no reason to sit around theorizing about it. And since I've still kind of got it up in the air at the moment, although it's incredibly difficult to maintain BSF in the air, which is why MS1 is on hold and Milestone 2 has proceeded forward, then it's something that I think that really, for me, my big focus is that hungry politicians and hungry cops and hungry soldiers don't get to make the decisions. And really, the future belongs to the scientists, not to the soldiers. This is 2011. This Dark Ages thing has really got to go, and it's burning itself out now. Now you've got things like the Deepwater Horizon in Gulf of Mexico, and you've got the Fukushima nuclear reactor, which is getting progressively more scary. And I think that it's something that really, as Rahm Emanuel said, I think for us, this is right now, we're actually past due for stepping up to the plate to not let a good crisis go to waste. So let's see, I've got 3 minutes left. See if there's anybody else. And I'm definitely, I want to know more about that. Let's see what Joseph had written. Joseph, I'd like to know more about the OSS bioinformatics. I'm wondering if that's a computer vision thing. I'm pulling it up right now. Let's see. And then Taryn says, you all need to figure out how to make these yourself. I want air power cars and farm equipment. All right, Taryn, let me respond to you, I guess. Let me look at this link. And then let me actually respond. Okay, so, and it can't just be you all, because I'm just one guy, right? I'm just a guy who was sitting in his office at his old software development job, getting tired of listening to Alex Jones while I was writing software talk about the world, ending and burning to the ground. And so that's where I quit my job to do this. So it definitely can't be you all. It needs to be all of us, and it needs to be direct action with no talk, no meetings, none of that. That gets in the way and is very feel good. Let's see. So to respond to Taryn, let me, I guess, just make a bit.ly link real quick. I'm going to send you the link to the open source microfactory that Open Farm Tech has been focusing on. So I just got the link, and I'm going over to bit.ly right now. And, actually, while I'm waiting on that, I'm just going to go ahead and throw it on Twitter. And George is advising me that I've got 60 seconds. So I'm going to throw this on Twitter, and then perhaps Stephanie or Justin or somebody can paste it into this room. Let's see. So I'm going to spend the last 60 seconds throwing down this bit.ly link. And this is the bit.ly link for the open source microfactory that Open Source Ecology is now working on, and what I'm certainly trying to push the Austin area into moving forward on there in Bertram. Let's see. So the link for this is bit.ly, so bit.ly / lowercase h, lowercase m, capital M, capital X, capital H, lowercase x. So once again, that's bit.ly / lowercase h is in Henry, m, lowercase m is in Mary, capital M is in Mary, capital X is in X-ray, capital H is in Henry, lowercase x is in X-ray. And I am now out of time. There goes Stephanie Murphy posting up that link. Thank you so much. And I'm going to go ahead and sign off. If y'all want to get in touch, then it's brokensidewalkfarm.com. Once again, brokensidewalkfarm.com. Or you can reach me on Twitter, twitter.com/brokensidewalkfarm without the vowels. Or email is thefledglingfarmer@brokensidewalkfarm.com. Once again, thefledglingfarmer@brokensidewalkfarm.com. And I truly thank the Agora I/O conference for having me on today and giving BSF some exposure for trying to move forward on the concept of farming version 3.0 to apply the BitTorrent protocol to the food supply and use some of the biblical principles for how to overthrow dictators, whether it's Genesis 41, Matthew 25, or James 2. So anyways, thank you all for y'all's time, and y'all have a great day, and of course, shalom to all of y'all in the name of Ahaya's son, Yeshua.